Dear friends, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be diving into another machine on the Vulnhub, which is Chini. The link will be put in the description section below so that you can download and play on your own. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. So now let's get started. Of course, another thing I'd like to point out, there is one hint you need to take away, otherwise this machine cannot be done successfully. Okay, we can head over to Linux. First of all, we need to discover the IP address of the target machine. The utility I'd like to use, as always, would be netdiscover. Alright, as you can see over here, the IP address of the target machine could be recognized as 23. So what shall we do next? We need to perform port and surface scanning with a map. To save time of this video, I've already completed before. So now we can get out its result. Alright, as you can see over here, I took the options like scene scan, the version scan, the default script scan, followed by the -p- to perform full range port scan. The last option for all is ON to output the result into this file. Although the IP address has been changed as I re-imported the target machine into the VMware workstation, so this time different IP address has been assigned to this target machine by internal DHCP server. Okay? From the map scanning results, we can tell that the target has only two open ports. The first one is 21, which is running FTP service, and also the version information. Since we have already utilized or specified this option, default script option, so we can know the target doesn't allow anonymous FTP login, okay? But, here you can see the version information, including the exact version number. The second one is 80, which is running HTTP service, and also the version information, Apache 2. So what shall we do next? We need to enumerate the FTP service. For example, we can check to see whether this version of VSFTPD is vulnerable or not. Okay, so we can use such a exploit command to check. Although there is one exploit, but this one falls into the category of DOS or denial of service. This is not what we want at this point. So what can we do next? We need to enumerate the web application both manually and automatically. Let's fire up the browser to perform manual enumeration first. We can put the IP address of the target into the address bar. Press enter. Oh, the IP address. So what's the IP address? I forgot the IP address. Okay, 23 rather than 24. This is my bad. Okay, I need to note it down. Here, there is one chili. Of course, we can save this image to our working directory. Now we need to check to see whether this image has hidden some messages. So to do that, we can take different commands or utilities. For example, the first one I'd like to run is exf2. Okay? This command or utility can return us, all metadata of this picture of this file. But if you go through the output, we cannot find anything interesting or suspicious. Okay? So let's go ahead. With the web application, we need to check its source code because sometimes we can find something important from its source code. So here, some kinds of HTML markup, but nothing useful here. Next, we can check whether this side has robot file or not. Not found. Next, let me bring back the terminal window to run Nicto. Nicto is a useful tool to comprehensively enumerate web application. For example, like the header and the version of the web application or software, even give us the exploit if this software is vulnerable, and also allowed HTTP methods. As you know, if the target allows dangerous methods such as put, and then hacker or pen tester can upload malicious file to the target machine by this method. Okay? And find this Apache default file, but this file doesn't contain anything useful. Okay? So next, we can launch the GoBuster to perform directory enumeration. Press enter. GoBuster, of course, there will be different approaches or utilities to perform directory enumeration, like GoBuster, like dir search, dir-b, dir-buster, and also like Python. We also can use Python to perform directory enumeration. I think directory enumeration is one of the important steps when we try to, exploit web application. Okay, but I'd like to tell you, we cannot find anything except this default page or home page of this web application. So I'm going to interrupt here. So I think we have already done almost everything. Also, of course, you can try using different word list or different utility to make web enumeration. But I like to tell you, we cannot find anything interesting or useful. We have to admit we are stuck here. So don't give up. Don't remember at the very beginning, I said you need to take away some kinds of hints. Yes, here, if you ever get stuck, try again with the name of the lab. The name of this lab is Chili. So how to do? I think we can use Hydra to make brute forcing against FTP. Okay, Hydra, and with normal L to specify the username, and use uppercase P to specify the word list. And by default, I always use the locule word list and service information, and followed by the IP address of the target machine. Let's press enter. And this process is going to take about 50 minutes. I'm not going to waste your time anyway. So I've already got, when I did the machine, I've already noted down the password for this user. So now we can, from this point, to continue our journey. I'd like to interrupt Hydra. So now we are assuming that we have already got back the password for the user, Chili. Okay, so now we can FTP to the target machine, and the username is Chili, and we can paste in here the password. As you can see, we are successful. Great, logged in to the target machine via FTP. So now we can list directory content, but it looks like we are in the home directory of a specific user, maybe Chili. Next, we can check to see whether we can, when we can have access to the FTP, we need to check something. For example, we can check to see whether we can navigate across different locations. Yeah, we can. And also we can navigate to var and www directory, HTML. So up to this point, I think we can, we can check to see whether we can upload file to this target machine under the HTML directory. This is root directory of the website of the web application. Okay, so now we can already got this PHP reverse shell file ready. So next we can try to use put command shell, but we got error, couldn't create file. But wait a moment, if you give up here or at this point, you will be wrong. Actually, you can see there are two hidden directories above these two pictures. Okay, so now let's go inside each of them. And here we also get another index HTML file. So here we can try to to upload the file again. Different directories can be configured with different permissions. Okay, so now we can use put shell. It's complete without any error. Fantastic. Of course, we need to make it executable. Okay, so now it's done. Even I think another directory, we can check to see whether we can upload the shell here. Oh, couldn't create a file. I think so. This nano should be the only location where the application allow us to upload file. Okay, great. So now what can we do next? We can set up the listener on the Kali Linux because we want to get reverse shell from the target machine. Okay, press enter, and as we know, our uploaded shell.php file should be living in the nano directory. So now we can access this directory, shell PHP. Press enter. I think it's working from the state of the browser at the top. So now we can bring up the terminal window again. As you can see, we indeed got the collection from the target machine. Fantastic. Now, and we can spawn an interactive shell by Python. Python 2 is not available. So how about Python 3? Python 3 and import, PTY module. Okay, and also I'd like to define environment variable term. Then we can clear screen whenever to get a bigger space on the window. Okay, so now what are we going to do next? We need to enumerate the local machine, or enumerate the target machine locally. Okay, for example, we can go to home directory and Chile. And just now we have already got, although the target machine doesn't have SSH service running, and just now we have already got the password of the user Chile. And in that case, we use that password or credentials to FTP to the target. So maybe sometimes password will be reused in different locations or different scenarios. So now we can check to see whether we can use the same password to make lateral movement. Okay, and we can copy the password from my notebook and paste in here. It does work. So beautiful. Now we can clear the screen again. So what can we do next? So the local, what is local? So nothing here, share, nano. Okay, so what can we do next? We need to continue our enumeration to find vector which allow us to make privilege escalation. For example, sudo command not found. And how about we can use the find command to find any file which has permission of 4,000. And of course, we are just only interested in files rather than directories. Okay, and we can redirect any error to now special device. But nothing here. Next, I think it's time to perform automatic enumeration. So how to do that? We need to rely on one famous script, shell script. Okay, so we can navigate to temp directory, because here we have full permissions. So now we can, of course, I've already got this script ready. You can get it from the GitHub repository. So now we can, so how to upload this file to the target? We can use netcat, but I think I'd like to take the easiest approach by setting up a web server with Python 3. Okay, so now we can use wget, or not, linpeas, and we need to make it executable, and then we can run it. Okay. I think I've already noticed one important discovery by this script, because it's highlighted in yellow color. Here, interesting writable files owned by me or writable by everyone. We can use ls command to check the permission of this file again. So any other user can have a write permission. So I think the privilege escalation would be very easy. So how to do? Let me show you. We can cut out this password file, and I'm going to copy the first line. The first line always, the root user, maybe we can paste in here, because we want to generate a new user, and this new user has root privilege and root directory, and also the can run the bash with root privilege. Okay, because the ID, UID is 0, group ID is also 0. Okay, but we need to create password for this user and replace this X by encrypted password. So how to do? We can use the command openssl password, and we can use the -1 means the MD5, although this can support a variety of hashing algorithm. Okay, so, and also you can specify the sort like JSON or something else. And the password, very stupid and simple password. We can hit enter. Now we can get is encrypted password. Now we can copy this line and append to password file. We use double angular breaks. Okay, so now password. Now we can switch to JSON. This is our created user and doesn't exist. Oh, I forgot to echo. We need to do it again. Password. Okay, let's run it again. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It does work. Now we are root user, and we can navigate to root directory and grab the final flag. So I think that's pretty much it. I'd like to see you next. Bye. Have a nice day, please.